Good morning. It's Fish the Beach Bum Investor with your cryptocurrency report and discussion for the 3rd of April 2018. Hope you all had a good Easter, good break for the long weekend. For those of you who had the four-day weekend, I've been enjoying the Bells Beach competition, watching the surfing. A lot of the top seeds getting knocked out early today. Interesting. Anyway, let's get on to crypto. One of the things I found, hey, Dennis Turco, hey, first in today, one watching. It could be a quiet day. I haven't been coming on consistently, to be fair, so I've really got to start doing that again. Adam, how you going, man? Z, how you going? I don't know how the comments are coming up before the number of people watching is going up, but anyway, g'day Z, how you going? I'm going to show you this article I found this morning regarding Bitcoin being accepted in hotels in one of the cities hosting the World Cup in 2018. It's small steps, to be honest. It's not a huge, massive bullish announcement for the crypto economy, but lots of small steps add up to mass adoption, which is what we're going for. And this is certainly a step in the right direction, which is good to see. So here we go. Russian hotels to Russia with Bitcoin. Hotels will accept cryptocurrency during the World Cup. Biggest sport in the world, so still good. The world's biggest sporting event is just a few months away, and fans are flocking to online websites to book their seats in Russia. Luckily for crypto users, Kaliningrad, one of the cities hosting the matches, is now offering cryptocurrency payments for hotel rooms. Buying Business Travel Russia reported that Apartments Malina has teamed up with the online payment system Free Casa to allow users to purchase rooms with cryptocurrencies. A total of 4 matches will be played in Kaliningrad on June 16th, 22nd, 25th, and 28th. So look for big spikes in the price during those times, because I know what the hotel prices are like in Coolangatta during the Quicksilver Pro and during the Commonwealth Games, for that matter. Anyway, according to a rough translation, Apartments Malinas, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, manager Anna Subotina said, cryptocurrencies are now enjoying increased interest. Gradually, they will come into use as a means of payment. And we decided that the fans should be able to pay for our services with the help of this innovative technology. It may very well be that other hotels are awaiting our example for the forthcoming football holiday. 11 of Russia's cities will host the FIFA World Cup, blah, blah, blah. Others haven't come forward with similar announcements yet, which is why Free Casa's development director, Vitaly Lavrov, called it an interesting experience. We did not have to cooperate with hotels in such a format, but the hospitality industry is very sensitive to such trends, said Lavrov. However, Free Casa's current collaboration with Petersburg's Social Commercial Bank, PSCB, proves that there is a chance St. Petersburg will adopt cryptocurrency payments as well, which would be awesome. Russia had been drafting regulation for cryptocurrencies and ICOs in the new proposal on digital financial assets last month. However, amendments were requested by Ministry of Economic Development, Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Justice, Central Bank of Russia, and others to soften the rules for cryptocurrency users. While this decision was not favoured by the Ministry of Finance, it did submit a bill last week which lists cryptocurrencies as financial assets instead of legal payment method. So that's interesting. Like I said, small step really, but a step nonetheless on the way to mass adoption. You've got to think once these hotels put in crypto payment system, why would they take them out after that? Doesn't make any sense. So if it's a big event like this that gets them to get interested in accepting crypto because it acts as a global currency, I think that's a big step forward. Anyway, coming back to the chat and seeing who's in today. 3 likes for watching. That's it, Nadia. I already had a down. Oh, I had a downvote changed to an upvote just then. Nice. Hourglass, how you going? Someone clicked the wrong button? Or no, back to a downvote. Oh. G'day, Grinkers. How you going? Hourglass is in. What's been happening with Neo, man? Do you want to jump over and have a look at the markets, see how they're trending? They came back a little bit, but just as I was coming on, they're starting to bleed again. The volume's still not quite there. It's looking, settling around that 11 billion mark. lot of indecisiveness in the market. I was reading an article this morning from one of the traders saying that he thinks it could actually bounce to 7.7, and then it would have to go through that with some steam and get above 8 to be back into good times. But he didn't get an alert. Oh, well, Floyd, it's good that you're vigilant and checking. Buy low, sell high. Tron followed me. Tron have released their testnet as well. I'm pretty sure buy low, sell high. You quite often see sells into those events. People are waiting to sell into those events, hoping that the volume will be there, the liquidity will be there to capitalize on the gains that they've made from buying on lows. Let's have a look at the market, see how some of the ones that we have been keeping an eye on are trending. I know Icon's been really cheap, really dropping down, like $2 flat even. Notio, one more drop. Wait until the institutions start work tonight. Buy low, sell high. Said I lost my shorts. But you got to stop going so heavy. Buy low, sell high. You're always losing your shorts and doing your shirt. Buy low, buy lower. It's a bit like that at the moment, Floyd. Buy low, buy lower. Yeah, it's a bit like that, man. There's not a lot of chances to cash out on profit. I tell you what, though, I've been pretty happy with my currency of choice in PIVX, holding really strong through these times. Last time I checked, somewhere between the $3.50 and $4 mark, which, considering the overall retracement of the market, I think is pretty good. You lost your boardies. Yeah, call them boardies here in Australia, buy low, sell high. Anyway, let's have a look at the market. I'm just going to bring over the screen share and see how we're trending. Screen sharing. Yeah, I think I was just, before we go to a market update, I just think that use cases, like actual being able to use currency as currency, is important. So I do think that Russia news is bullish. Bringing it into the world's eye as well. In a big event like the World Cup, but really only one small step. We need to see lots more establishments accepting cryptocurrency as a form of payment. The other thing I was reading about earlier was the big camera stores in Japan and some more Japanese stores moving towards accepting crypto as well. Anyway, we see here Bitcoin is holding over 7,000. But there's really not. It's not. I saw it hit 7,100. It's really not building up a whole lot of steam at the moment. We'll see what happens, as suggested by I think it was Noddy. A lot of people coming back from a long weekend. Hopefully the traders coming in and saying, well, you know what, it's time to go. Let's move. And the big institutional money. Ethereum still below the $400 mark, but is one actually that is struggling to gain any momentum at all at the moment. $385 US. Only up 0.72% when the market has overall recovered quite nicely. Stellar Lumens is one that has been pretty resilient and up 11% from yesterday. 5.4% over a 7-day bleeding period is not too bad. So Stellar Lumens doing well. Of course, having that partnership with, I want to say IBM. Yes, IBM. So it'll be interesting to see how Stellar goes in the future. But I'm looking forward to some applications coming out on the Stellar network as well. Might get some ICOs in there, see what happens. Just having a look what else has been significant here. VeChain's come back nicely, 19%. Where's Tron? Just having a look. Oh, yeah, down 18.79%. Up 5% since yesterday, though, mate. So coming back a little bit. But, yeah, 3.4 cents. I sold it at 5. I got airdropped it. And I switched it into Icon at $1.20. And then when Icon surpassed the price of PIVX, I switched it into PIVX. So I've done really, really well on that sort of trade link. But, yeah, Icon coming back down to, I saw it as low as pretty much $2 flat, which I think is really, really good buying. I was talking to Wilkie about this, and I said, look, even if I adjust my formula to cater for the fact that Ethereum has had a significant reduction in price, it still brings the Icon formula that I did to a $7.50 to a $7.50 price point. So Wilkie said, "Well, so what do you reckon? 300%?" I said, "Yeah, but maybe within 300% within like a year or 18 months. I think that's really, really doable based on the fact that they did a lot of prep work before going to ICO and now they're ready to move. So yeah, Icon's one of the better ones, I think, at the moment. They're taking a heavy hit over the week. Moving to mainnet soon. Everyone's got to move their tokens over to the actual ICX tokens. That could be causing some other people go, I'm not really comfortable. I'll just sell off and I'll buy back once it all settles down. I don't know. I'm not sure what's causing the reduction. I think Icon's pretty good buying at this price. Really, really do. Because I've done some maths on it. And plus that little bit in that article that we brought up the other day that said South Korea, are looking to potentially regulate and legalize domestic ICOs, allowing for Korean investors to get into Korean projects. That's got to be bullish news for Icon, a Korean-based protocol. Hey, Verge has done really, really well right after I dumped most of mine. But hey, I went into PIVX, which has also done well. We'll get down to there in a second. Verge has kicked back nicely. For me, I'd still like to see a few more applications planned to be released on the Verge protocol on the network, and then I'd be happy to justify these sorts of prices. But for me, I don't know, just not quite yet. I think there's some better value down the market for the ones that I've been keeping an eye on. Steam's come up nicely. I suggested that if you are a blogger, it's a good thing to be purchasing because you can put it to use. You can use Steam Power to actually increase your revenue through Steam dollars, through earning Steam dollars. So this basically increases your voting power or your reward payout. So if you've got more Steam, you're going to get essentially paid more, or your vote's going to be worth more. Just having a quick look down. As I said, PIVX made a nice over the week. It's fairly steady, right? If you have a look at the sort of the sea of red above it for the 7 days, you're looking at most of the coins, EOS and Stellar being a couple. Tether's not really worth talking about because it's just like a US dollar. Binance Coin, one of the exchange coins. Verge coming back as we spoke about, and a couple others up here in Zcash and Ontology, BitShares and Status, but really mostly red if you have a look at this. So PIVX at 1.35% gains over the 7 day period. If you're staking away, actually we've suspended staking at the moment, but if you were staking away up to the 29th, you would have made extra coins as well, depending on the amount you were staking. So I'm pretty happy with that. I like this nice slow growth patterns. I still think it's cheap under $4 though. Seen it as high as $4.50 just in this week. So I think it's going to go well. When you look at, I will do a video on comparing a few things. This is probably suicide a little bit, but I'll do some comparisons with PIVX and Bitcoin and try and show you why I believe in PIVX and why I think it does need to exist. And one of the videos that I watched really, really recently was a video called Why Bitcoin Isn't Working. And it was done by an engineer from an engineer's point of view. And it was super interesting, I've got to tell you. It mainly talked about power consumption and basically how the power consumption is one issue, but also the capping of the Bitcoin economy could be potentially a bad thing long term, and they go into that, and it's pretty interesting actually. Still think Factom's cheap under $25, as I said, one that's actually being used. Dragon Chain has absolutely taken a hammering in recent times. They've actually got another ICO planned. I can't remember the name of it. Dee was talking about it the other day, but they are working to release on top of the Dragon Chain protocol. So I think maybe at this price, it's, when you look at Dragon Chain as opposed to Verge has, I guess, anonymity in their favor, but I think Dragon Chain is further developed. So I look at the two market caps and I don't necessarily understand their respective places in the crypto market cap, the overall market cap, the overall rankings, let's say. Some good gains here, in this sort of period in the last 24 hours in the 80th to 100 spot. You've got 80th to 90th really, but a lot of these coins have taken massive hammerings. Like Power Ledger was well over $1 at one stage. So 12.8% gains is good, but you got to remember it's still down for the week. Storage, file storage coin, actually holding pretty steady for the 7 days. But overall, the thing that bothers me is this. Look at this volume still dropping, 10.9 billion now. And that's a little concerning. That suggests to me there's not a whole lot of buy pressure there. There's not a whole lot of demand at the moment, which we know is a major part of any economics, but crypto economics is no different, supply and demand. Anyway, I'm going to come back to the chat as soon as I can find Google Hangouts, which is here somewhere. Oh, I think I can just go stop sharing on that thing down the bottom. Anyway, I'm back. So what's everyone been getting into? Oh, Ven. I like Binance Coin over Verge, buy low, sell high, just because it is the most popular exchange in the economy, and the Binance Coin does actually have a use case in terms of reducing your trade fees. You can actually go out, you can actually do a valuation based on the supply of Binance coins and the daily volumes and how much stands to be reduced by holding Binance Coin. And essentially, to me, that amount divided by the circulating supply would be the potential reduction over a year. And then you could multiply that out if you wanted to get it, 4 or 6 year valuations. It's a little more complicated than that, but Binance Coin does actually have a use case, which I really like about it. Verge is a protocol which is not in heavy use at the moment. They missed a development target, which the market, I don't think it was that they missed the target, okay? Because coins miss targets all the time. PIVX are a bit late on 3.1.0, if I'm being honest. We're still waiting on that, but our developers came out and said, guys, we'd rather make sure it is perfect. We don't want to release garbage, not under the PIVX name. So they came out and reassured the community. They reassured investors, hey, it's all good. It's testing well. We just are dotting the I's and crossing the T's, whereas the Verge team just went quiet. And everyone went, well, what the hell happened with Break Protocol? And no one knew. And Verge copped a heavy dumping after that. So I think Verge really got well overpriced because of the McAfee pump, the fact that there was a massive unit bias going on in the economy back in the day, and probably arguably still is to a degree to this day, where the cheaper coins, per coin are seen as cheap rather than looking at the actual market cap and circulating supply. So I think that Verge perhaps got a well and true, like it was getting valued at $2 billion, I think, at one stage. And it's just like, really, for something that doesn't have a single application released on it? Wraith Protocol hasn't even been released. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. And it had a lot to do with, John McAfee and unit bias and the whole market being overheated, in fact. Noddy said, what's Bitcoin? Well, it's a cryptocurrency. I would say more, I think at the moment, realistically, even though the transaction fees have come down, it's still not, I still see it more as a digital gold at the moment. We'll see what happens. They've got an awesome development team, obviously. Yeah, this is that falling knife thingy, Floyd, for sure, man. But you know what? I'm still thinking about it. Like, I got mine in at 6.8. I think I'm going to wait, though. Usually patience is rewarded in this game. That's my view. So even though I'm not 100% sure it will drop, the volume is low. So without that volume there, I've got to anticipate that the trend will continue. The trend's your friend in trading. And we will see that 6,000 support retested. I could be wrong. It can bounce. Like, it's built up a hell of a lot of support around 6.8 because every time it's dipped it down there, it's sort of got back to 7 pretty quick. But the volume's not there. It's just not high enough volume, and it's not racing past 7 and going up and jamming the next level of support resistance. So for me, like I told you guys, my strategy I put in at 6.8. Now looking for that 5.8 to 6,000 area. I know that's a pretty, I might alter that on the run. Like if it's 6-1 and starts to really look like the volume's going to come in, I might be part of that. But, somewhere around that area, 5.8 to 6 is probably my next launch point. So we'll see what happens. If the volume was there, like if the volume was up around 15 billion, 16 billion, 24-hour volume for the whole economy, which, 45% is pretty much generally in Bitcoin at the moment. But if you scale that back to Bitcoin, and then I'd be more confident. But it's just that lack of volume that concerns me at the moment, lack of potential liquidity. Kelly Slade, you haven't missed anything as usual. My tactic worked about 60% weighted off market. I did buy in 60% at 6480. Where'd you get a 6480? I didn't see it drop to that. But then fell asleep and it was back to 6850, but still made about 35% over the last 2 weeks. Noddy said Tron is in the toilet. Oh, you don't want to be mean, Noddy. We got buy low, sell highs already taking a hiding on Tron. So I got airdropped mine, so you can't really play it wrong. I didn't know what it was. I hadn't researched it at the time. And I thought, you know what? Icon's $1.20. And it was on the day that Icon launched that I just went, no, I don't even know what it is. Dropped it and bought Icon. Have to buy the real solid projects while they are low. There is still probably another 5,000 plus projects coming. So a lot of these will be technically tweaked and most old ones will be weak. I read something, that was Noddy, this is Kelly. Kelly said, I read something about Venn actually being valued at $5 and changed today, but the price isn't reflected on CoinMarketCap and some exchanges. Do you know anything? Kelly, haven't heard anything. Hadn't heard anything about that. I did see that, we had a look at the market before and saw a 20% increase on Venn, but I hadn't heard about that. I'll have to have a look into it. I read a few articles this morning, which were pretty interesting. I shared one of them with you. The other one was that one suggesting that it could go to 7.7. I just don't see the volume there for 7.7. I think like if you asked me, are we more likely to see 7.7 or 6 first? I'd probably say 6 just because of the volume. It does give me confidence that it does keep bouncing off that sort of 6.8 level though. Although, I'm not watching the charts every 5 minutes, and you just heard Noddy say it dropped down to 6.5 at one stage. So it's already broken that support once. We'll see what happens. BitThumbs listing, Ben. Thanks, Kelly. That's cool info. Oh, percent. For sure. Buy low, sell high said, remember when hype pushed up coin up 30, 40, 50%? Yeah, for sure. I was reading an article about that this morning about how the investors who, were wanting the 10 to 100x returns within 3 to 6 months have left the market because those returns aren't there. So that's where some of the volume's gone. People who are just wanting to, that aren't happy with 5% or 10% or have found something else that they can make money on quickly and get in and out of, those people are out of the market for now, which makes a hell of a lot of sense. We're not seeing the easy money we saw in December, November, and even the early part of January before it all, in the altcoin market anyway. Noddy said the Korean Jap markets had so much weird trade action over the past 2 days. Noddy said, for all buyers, be careful of Satoshi value with the low prices sats are high. I think that's an important thing to keep a track of if you're just looking at general trading. If there's no news due out for a coin and you're wondering whether you're better off buying that or Bitcoin, that's a great point that Noddy brings up. Go and have a look at the Satoshi value and look how high and low it is historically. That's what we did on PIVX a week ago to get it at 42,000, 44,000, 45,000, I can't remember. It was around that SAT price. And I said, we went and lined up various levels of support at 40,000, like 4 times historically, where it had kicked off there. And the one time it didn't kick off there and drop below there, it wasn't below there very long. And I said, so if it's around this 40 to 45, it's probably looking at good buying historically. So I think that's going to be a coin per coin basis. Some of them have got really high. But, I was checking some of my trades and I sold some Lisk at 160,000, I think it was, not that long ago. And I went and checked the price recently. It's down to 100,000 SAT. So some have still gotten a lot lower on SAT prices as well. It's a coin for coin thing on the Satoshi relative value. B-Chain Thor. Well, that's Ben, isn't it, Kelly? It's just the rebranding. Yeah, Vet. Sorry. That's a good point. Yes, Ben did rebrand to Vet, which is V-Chain Thor. There's a few people who are pretty bullish on it. You can stake it as well. Buy low, sell high. I said, I'll buy some more BNB, Binance coin. It's only money. You can't take it with you. That's a very valid point. A lot of people act like you can. ICX. I've added 5K ICX to my ICO holdings. Happy days. Yeah, Z, Wilkie's taking a similar strategy, man. Wilkie actually texted me just before the show. And see me, I had to trade some out when we got up to those big high prices. I couldn't, like I just couldn't. I just had to at least take some profit. You know what I mean? You only had to take 3% of your holdings or something like that to take pretty good profit. Now I took 10% at the top and 10% at about the middle of the market when I moved it into PIVX. So now I'm actually looking at perhaps buying that back because it is $2, and pretty much my average sell on that would have been at about $7 or $8. So I've traded pretty well on that one. I do like it long term, but I've been stocking up on PIVX as well. So it's like every time I get an altcoin, like I've been consolidating a lot as well, getting rid of a lot of the garbage and just consolidating into the coins that I really want. Not garbage. I don't want to say garbage, but just coins that I'm iffy on. I think that's what happens at these times in the market. I've also looked at a lot. I've talked about this before, as a lot of people look at relative BTC prices, Satoshi prices. I look at relative PIVX price. So if PIVX takes a dive in the market, I'm pretty much seeing what else has had a run up to sell off to get PIVX relatively to swap more of that in, less of that into more PIVX. So that's a strategy I use. Doesn't always have to be against BTC. I do a lot of Ether trading as well. So yeah, hit the like button, says buy low, sell high. Not really a like slut. The reason being is because we like to keep the chat pretty small, man. Then we can all have a chat to each other, So everyone just gets chatting to each other. If I miss a question or whatever, you just put it back in. Generally, I get to everything. Okay, the Korean Japanese markets could be a reason Ben is looking so strange. They had buy walls up and removed. It was a mess. Who was it that sent me? Noddy. I think it was Noddy that sent me a massive sell order of Icon. I think it was 50 BTC or something like that. So about $500,000, bit more, $700,000, US. There's people who can certainly move markets out there. For sure. You see some huge buy orders and sell orders, and you're just like, whoa. Buy low, sell high. I said, I'm not a bot. I have feeling. Coinbase should add all my coins. Kelly said, yes, buy low, sell high. They should add all my ones as well. Well, ERC20 tokens, guys, if you're looking for coins getting added to Coinbase, they have announced that they're going to be providing ERC20 support. Now, that won't mean that, I wouldn't imagine that would mean that every ERC20 token gets listed, but some of the more popular ones certainly might. No, it wasn't. He was buying more. Noddy said you thought it was Wilkie selling the 50 BTC of ICX. So no. He bought more at 220, and now he literally texted me this morning. He said, you know what? He said, I get paid today. He's young, so he doesn't have a whole lot of expenses, you know what I mean? He earns good money. Took advantage of the mining boom in Australia, worked FIFO out in the mines. Now he works at Gold Coast Airport, mate. He's an electrician by trade, makes good money. And so now he's sitting there, with not a whole lot of expenses, being young, just going, well, I got my pay this month coming in and everything's paid up. I'll grab some more. He goes, he said to me this morning, he goes, I think the future me will really thank me for doing this, like just continuing to buy while it's low and just keep buying and see it, be be confident that one day you'll get that spike back to sort of $6, $7 and beyond. But obviously, even a spike, if you've stocked up a lot at $2, a spike to $3 is amazing. 50% growth, pretty good. But no, I don't think it was. No, it definitely wasn't Wilkie, because he has texted me and said he's buying. He's doing the buy. BNB is solid. BNB is good to day trade to make 3 to 5%. You thought it was? Yeah, sorry, no, I read that part. But yes, BNB is good. I've held BNB for a long time, but I also get paid commission in it because I get commission over at Binance. If you are looking to sign up to the Binance exchange, there is a referral link. You're welcome to use it. But yeah, I get referral bonuses over there. But most people have got on there from people from the Crypto Wave investment crew or people who watch here. And I always say, if you're a trader and you're going to be constantly trading, buy some Binance coin, cut your trade fees in half, and that all adds up over time. So a lot of people are heeding that advice, and I get the commission paid in Binance when they buy Binance tokens. So yeah, I can also see what people are trading in, because generally I'll get, for people who haven't bought the Binance token, I'll see what they're buying, because I get paid their fee in the actual currency that they're trading. So it's a good indicator, actually. I've got about, 35 referrals. So it gives me, it's a fairly small cross section. It gives me some indication of what people are buying. Problem is, it's often the things we've talked about here. So I'm not sure whether it's, yes, I'm on the mark, people are buying this, or people are buying it because it's 35 people who have actually referred through me and I've been talking about it. Buy low, sell high wants Wall Street to jump in. I think they already have to some degree, like on the shorts. Look, I think it'll be really, before massive money comes in, there needs to be more liquidity, and I think that's going to be a slower build. We'll see what happens. Chinese investors were allowed into the next ICO. Is this a sign of things to come? Seb, I didn't even know that. I thought next ICO was going on a lottery style thing where they were allowed to enter the lottery, were they? I don't think they'll look, even if they do ban it. China's one who could, Chinese, Koreans, North Koreans. There's a couple of governments who could outright ban it and actually make it really, really difficult for citizens to be involved in cryptocurrency. And China's one of them. Will they retain this ban long term? I don't know. They've done it before. They flip-flop on it, right? So if they think it's more profitable for the country to, again, allow cryptocurrency, they may well change again. A lot of people were saying that potentially the Chinese government were just positioning themselves to be in control of it, so as much as they can. So whether it's state-based exchanges, so they can track everyone's spending back and forth and see where the money's going through the exchange process, or they may actually allow it at some stage again. You don't know. That's the interesting thing with China. They can turn on a dime too. One chain sats was same at $3.20 as it was at $2.90 when BTC was 6,600. Yeah, okay. I've been keeping an eye on one chain. There's a lot of hype around it. It sort of fizzled out because it's timing of the release, right? When you look at Icon and it got released right as the whole market was pumping and it went to $12, $13, it was brilliant timing. To release into this sort of environment is not easy because the whole market's a little unsure and a little trigger shy. So not really, everyone's sort of a wait and see approach, you know what I mean? Buy low, sell high. I said, which coins on Coinbase top 10 ERC20s? I don't think it is based on their position in the market cap, and I don't think they've announced which ERC20 tokens will be given support first, but they have announced that they plan to do that. So there'll be speculation all over this buy low, sell high. But if you look at the debacle that followed the Bitcoin Cash listing and Coinbase's potential, the accusations of insider trading, which can only, it had to be them or GDAX, right? You went and we watched it live. We sat here live and watched it enter GDAX. Like I did a special thing and said, yep, okay, it's happening now. So we'll watch this and see what happens. and the price before it happened had already pumped, and then it went to those incredible prices which halted trading on GDAX. But for the move to happen before the announcement was made, it has to be insider trading. So it has to be either GDAX or Coinbase. Now, fortunately, Coinbase cleared themselves. I find that funny, don't you? That you can investigate yourself and clear yourself. It's the same as Tether doing their own internal audits. No, we want a third party, an external third party, to audit the audit Tether, and it's the same. The same with Bitcoin Cash. So I think they'll be a bit more careful, buy low, sell high, about letting any of those announcements slip. I think it'll be a needs-only basis, and people who are privileged to that information will be held to the highest levels of secrecy that Coinbase are able to enact. We'll see what happens. Inevitably it'll leak, but Bitcoin Cash was the worst kept secret in the crypto economy. No one was surprised when that hit Coinbase. Summer traditionally is a little stronger, buy low, sell high. The January-February dip is something that's becoming more common in the crypto economy. So I don't know, we can certainly recover. But if you look at the last real major hype cycle where it got overheated and for the stage of development and for the stage of adoption back in 2014, it took a year to recover. So we can see sideways movement and even further down movement from here, but we can see sideways movement for another 12 months at least. We can. I don't think so, though. I think that's worst case scenario. And the reason I don't think so is there's more people in the game and the growth has been exponential. So the awareness of, like, I didn't even know about Bitcoin in 2014 when the first crash happened. My cousin might have said something about it because he was on the Bitcoin board for Australia back then, but I didn't know what it was. I hadn't really heard of it. Now I think more people, not necessarily invested in it, but I think more people will have heard of it than won't have heard of it in the general public. Like if you go out to most people and you say, have you heard of Bitcoin? Being the poster child of the economy still, have you heard of Bitcoin? More people will say yes than no. I'm not saying most people, I'm just saying higher than 50%, at least in the anecdotal research that I've conducted. Yeah, I was looking at that, Kelly. 24-hour volumes down. Aki 5, haven't seen you in ages. What's been going on? Buy low, sell high says years from now, people will look at this video and say these guys made millions. Buy low, sell high, I don't know that they necessarily even have to wait that long. Well, they do now. But when we were at the peak of Icon at $12, there were quite a few people who had made millions in the crypto wave investment group because we got in at ICO at 10 cents. So when it hit $12, 120 times your money, we had a few crypto millionaires in the crypto wave investment group. I'm not sure who cashed, not sure who made some profit. The thing is that when you bought it at 10 cents, right? You look at it at $2, we're still 20x. So even on a complete bloody downward turn on Icon, it's very hard to be down when you get in that early. The people who got into Bitcoin at $1,000, let's say, back during the last spike, do you think they'll be hurting because they saw it go to 20 grand, but it's still 7x from their original buy price. So we're kind of in the same boat with our investments. If you look at Substratum as well, we bought that at 6 cents at ICO, and yes, it's taken a significant hit, but we did really well in our ICO picking in 2017. Substratum, Icon, Gladius hasn't done so well for us, but I'm still confident in that. And QLink all made money. All our group investments made money, and are still up to this day, barring Gladius, which is down a little bit, but early days for Gladius. And in a total market correction, it couldn't be a worse time to release. But every other one's up. QLink's up. Like I said, Substratum's up. Icons are still up 20x, which is significant in most people's eyes. So yeah, it's getting in early can be half the battle. Buy low, sell high. I think that's a good thing. If we are on the right projects, if this does become as disruptive technology, there's still a lot of people out there who just hear cryptocurrency and think pyramid scheme or scam. they don't actually understand how it can affect industry. And I think once that's further understood, you will be right. And years from now, yes, we will be the early adopters. Will people be saying we made millions? Well, that remains to be seen. Are we going to be on the right project? And that's where a collaborative approach works really well. And even though I've been absent from the Discord group, the best we do is when we work together, when we all bring in information, and we all, it just cuts down our individual workloads. And that's what we do well over at the Discord group. Now, I must apologize for not being overly active lately, but literally the new tenants just finished moving in yesterday. I don't have any more trips to Japan planned, so should be back on the Discord group a lot more regularly now. If you do want to contact me about anything we're talking about on the show or anything in general, you're welcome to just private message me over there. Fortunately, I'm not one of those ones with 100,000 subscribers, so I am pretty reachable. Kelly's got some interesting information here. Goldman Sachs said Bitcoin has potential. They're getting ready to jump in, the way it sounds. Yeah, that could be. Well, we all know about the, what was it, a $5 million buy order from JP Morgan? By, what's the thing called? By the, JP Morgan's, what's his name? Jamie Dimon. There's apparently a $5 million buy order out of Europe. Kelly, I think a lot of people are in vacation. I think you're right. And China can be sneaky at times. That's why, that's why Red Pulse could do well in the future, because it's well known about market manipulation in China, about especially from mainstream media, releasing false reports and falsifying them at a later date. All the fake FUD was to push out weekends, says buy low, sell high. I think we can get a little bit. I've heard that said a lot, buy low, sell high, pushing out the weekends and fake FUD, and I think we can get a little bit. I like optimism, but I also think that if you're going to be successful in investing, you've got to be realistic as well. And I think that that a lot of the FUD was warranted. And I think a lot of it was real. I mean, we had a very, very turbulent time in the economy with China banning altogether, Korea putting a massive crackdown in terms of regulation. So making it a lot harder for the average Korean to buy in. They actually have to go and register a bank account, and it's doable, but it takes more steps, right? So less people are going to do it, at least in the short term. So I think there was genuine reasons for the market to correct, and I also think it was overheated. I don't think that we can fairly say that, I would see Bitcoin as having a fairer valuation of $20,000 today than it did back in December. Why? Because we've had Lightning Network since then. So the technology has improved. SegWit's actually gained wider adoption as more people are implementing it, and more importantly, more of the major exchanges are implementing it, like Coinbase. That's positive stuff, and that actually warrants price going up. But that shows you how heavily the market was speculatively driven back in November and December, because the technology hadn't changed at that point. SegWit hadn't really been implemented anywhere, and Lightning Network wasn't there yet. So how are we getting to $20,000? On anticipation of these things happening? Speculative money, sure. But I think a lot of it was actually to do with things being overheated and overpriced for stage of development. So I'm not sure it was all just FUD and shaking out weak hands. I think that can that overly bullish propaganda you can ignore the facts sometimes. There was a good thing, actually. There's a guy called Bitraged, Randall, who does some pretty good videos, and he had a bit of a muck around with an April Fool's joke saying Doug Polk was a scammer. But one of the points he was trying to make in that is that if you're a person who only reads the information you want to read, then you're actually really limiting your ability to stand back and see the the investment for what it is. So when you're only looking at articles that say Bitcoin's good and Bitcoin's awesome and cryptocurrency is going to rule the world and all this sort of thing, you're really opening yourself up, and you've got to look at both sides of the argument. And that's why what I will do is I'll link you guys this video and I'll pop it up in Discord, because it's a bearish assessment of Bitcoin based on the limitations of the current proof of work system, based on mining basically, and the power consumption and the limitations of that particular network. And I got to tell you, it's very hard to argue against. It's been done by engineers, and I say, you know what, there's a few facts that they need to update in there, because it says that Bitcoin is only capable of 4 transactions per second, and of course that's increased significantly with the introduction of recent technology. So it does have to be updated somewhat, but some of the arguments they make around the mining of Bitcoin and the proof of work system, they're very hard to argue against, and especially in a capped economy. And it talks about how when we get down to the point where basically no Bitcoin is being produced through the creation of blocks, and miners are only getting paid on transaction fees. Is there going to be such a demand for all this mining equipment that's being produced for all this? It'll be interesting. I probably have surmised that really, really badly, because I didn't intend to talk about it today, but it was a really interesting alternate position on, because I hear a lot of bullish stuff about cryptocurrency, obviously, because that's the circles I run in. But to step outside of that and find this video from an engineer's point of view about the concerns with the mining side of things, it was very interesting. So yeah, but yes, I am a hodler as well. Buy low, sell high. And I think if you're in the first, like I said, if you pick the right ones, I think you're going to do well. GS, sup fish from Coolum Beach. That thing's up there, man. Surf's been all right down here. I took a look at Bells. They ran some heats this morning. All the top seeds got knocked out. Surf's been pretty good here. I just haven't had much of a chance to get in the water. But one of my mates told me, first comp for me, well, I missed the first comp of the year because I was over in Japan, but next comp's in 27 days. And I'm fat at the moment for me, which is not good. My board's struggling to keep me buoyant in the water. So I really need to get some training done. So please excuse me if I'm not on every day, because I do still have to do what I do. But I'm going to be on as much as I can, especially when there's some developments in the market. I was thinking about doing some more recorded videos as well. See what happens. But yeah, if I'm away, I do have to get some training done, because I missed the first comp of the season, which puts me behind to start with, and then I'm fat. So I gotta lose some weight. Kelly Slade says, I'm patient. I'm holding until I have enough to retire, and I want to retire in 2 years. Well, it's better that, I read this article years ago about people's financial planning, and the number of people whose long-term financial plan was to win lottery was ridiculous. Like, legitimately, that was their financial plan. They'll retire when they win lotto. Goodness gracious me, we can do better than that. Like, even if you don't love the, if you've stumbled across this channel because I've put a FIFA thing in the FIFA World Cup thing, even if you don't like cryptocurrency, building long-term wealth is important. The not necessarily wealth, but I think it was Einstein who said that, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. And those who don't understand it are going to be in debt to it forever. And that's so true. So you need to get yourself on the right side of the equation. If you're constantly paying off credit cards, you're constantly paying off debt at interest rates, you're never going to get ahead of it. So first things first, pay off the debt as best you can. Put away $50, $100 a week, whatever you can afford, and get that debt paid off. And then start looking at building slow financial independence through, long-term saving strategies, which can involve just putting some money in the bank each week. That's fine. But, you know, especially if you're younger, some higher risk investments are okay as well. But don't go putting bloody investments on your credit card, all right? Don't go buying crypto with a 20% interest on your credit card. That's ridiculous. It's hard enough to win in these economies. So don't give yourself don't give yourself a really hard place to start with. Now, the beautiful thing about cryptocurrency is that because we have like $10, $20 minimum trades, there's no brokerage. The exchanges are taking a fee, but it's what, 0.1%? Fractional. 0.05 if you use Binance coins. Link available in the description. But look, if you're gonna do that, you're paying minimal brokerage. Your minimum trades like $10 or $20, and you're not using leveraged money. You're actually building long-term wealth rather than just gambling. So you buy and hold, slowly accumulate. I think this strategy works well. If you look at, like I think I've spoken about this several times before, but I watched an interview with Warren Buffett that talked about when you're buying. He said, well, we're always buying. It's just when it's like we're buying more. So, accumulation is a tried and tested method for wealth creation. So you'd be surprised how much putting that $10 or $20 a week away really adds up. Before you know it, you've got a nice little nest egg. Accu5, been real busy, Fish. Sorry I haven't been on your streams. Nah, it's cool, man. Everyone's been busy. I haven't been on much. I went over to Japan, dude. Found a big store that accepted cryptocurrency. It's like their big electronics franchise in Japan. But honestly, it wasn't as widely as accepted as I would have liked. And that's what I've been talking a lot about lately, is our next step towards mass adoption, which is really driving that acceptance in stores. Which reminds me, I've really got to get going soon, because I do have to make a phone call to a gentleman in Australia who runs payment systems in Australia for cryptocurrency. And I'd really like to talk to him about adding PIVX as one of those for merchants. So that would be nice if we can get our currency added to a payment system in Australia for merchants. Then I can get out and beat down those doors and start letting people know the advantages of accepting PIVX especially for somewhere like Kaliningrad, 5 minutes from the Gold Coast airport. International travellers all the time. It makes sense. I think it does anyway, and I'm sure I can sell that. No ICOs in the USA. No, that's a good point. Storm still has the volume. Not too shabby. Yeah, it had big volume last time I checked. I'm pretty sure Kelly Slade. Like, I think with Storm the volume was the entire market cap. Blue collar crypto. I know I've been talking about this one for a few days, but DMT looks like a good buy again. Made some money on that quick run from 7,000 to 10,000 Satoshi. Now it's around 6,300. Buy again. Ha ha ha. I'd have to check the charts. If there's any support around 6,300, yeah, go for it. I don't even know much about DMT though, Joey. Only had a quick look at it, man. That's your call. I think you're just trading it though, aren't you? I prefer the long. Like, I'll trade, but I'll trade in and out of coins that I like, both of them. And that way, if I get stuck with the bag, I'm like, well, I don't care. I wanted a bag of that stuff anyway. So I trade Neo to altcoins, trade Ether to altcoins, Bitcoin to altcoin. If I accumulate either, I'm happy. That's the way I play it. Noddy said, yes, Fisher, we must work together. How else can we build a pyramid? Those blocks are heavy. That's exactly what we're trying to do in the Crypto Wave investment crew. Build that pyramid. The Dow was down big time today, really bigly, but crypto stayed on point. That's interesting. I think if we stayed at this level for another week or even two, then it will give confidence and people will see this as the low. The sideliners will want to buy in again at the last cheap price. Possibly, Noddy. I don't think the interest is quite there at the moment, man. And I don't think the volume's quite there to give that sort of indication. Like I said, we'll see what happens over the next week or two. I still think we could see that 6,000 support tested. I'm going to have a look again in a second. Funny Eagle said, what's going on here? Sup, Fish? How are you, Funny Eagle? Guys, I'm well behind on the chat. I'm just catching up, sorry. Santra is now starting to get bought up again at 20 cents. It has all-time high of over $4.50. Mayweather's Coin Centra. Noddy, check the when you check that, man, just check the volume that was traded at 450, because that it doesn't always mean a lot. You need to, like, if it was traded at 450 for a week and lots of volume going through, fine. But if it's a quick spike to that price, like it really, it's not that hard to get a coin to spike. To trade at any volume at that sort of price cost you a hell of a lot more money. But to get a coin to spike, it's not that hard. So if it's spiked at $4.50, I quite often talk about false highs, because I think if they've spiked there really, really quickly, you can consider it a false high. You know, I talk about PIVX's high being around $12, because that's where our high point was stable. We were finding support consistently at 10, going back up to 12, finding resistance. So I talk about our high point being 12, even though really, like, even for a week, we spiked to almost $15. And upon our adding to Binance, it even got higher for a little brief trading period there of about 2 hours. But really, I see the high for PIVX is $12, roughly. So that's where, you know, I often talk about spot checking rather than, you know, checking your coin, like staring at the 5-minute candles or 1-minute candles and watching the charts like a hawk. I talk about spot checking, you know, 3 times a day. Take those micro fluctuations, or, you know, what are micro fluctuations in the grand scheme of things, take them out of your head, take them out of the equation, just by getting a feel for what the price is. And then you'll know when it's too cheap. Just spot check it a couple of times a day even. Start to get a feel for it. If you're new into the economy, it's a great way to start. You know, and then you need to get into learning a little bit about TA, when the good times to buy are, that sort of thing as well. But it is as good a point to start as any. It's just learning or understanding what prices are historically, or where your prices are historically. So if you're just checking it twice a day, you can look at Bitcoin and say, oh, hang on, Bitcoin's down at $6,000. I've been watching it since, you know, for a month now, and it's always been up at around 7 or even up to 8, and now it's down at 6. You check the news, there's no catastrophe news for Bitcoin. You go, okay, well, maybe this, you know, there's another line of support at 6, so maybe this is my time to buy. Maybe this, you know, this is a good time, especially if the market starts to show, you know, increasing confidence and volume coming up that $6,000 dip. I don't know, everyone's got their own strategies, right? Fat floats, doesn't it, fish? Pablo, yeah, it does, but it doesn't paddle too well, brother. Doesn't paddle too well. I'm like a friggin' whale out there at the moment, man. That's like, I surfed a couple of days ago, and I surfed so bad. I'm like, oh dear. Comp's coming up. I've already given the guys a one competition head start. Have I gotten too cocky this year? We'll see. I don't even know when the Pro Tour starts, so maybe I'm being a bit slack. But looking forward to Tanya going over to, you know, I'm getting older, so maybe just supporting younger surfers is probably maybe a bit more of a future for me. And, you know, I spoke to Tanya and I said, look, go to Indonesia. I think it's a brilliant idea. And so she's going to go compete in Indonesia. I can't remember what the event's called, but it is a world qualifying event. So she'll be up against international surfers representing Australia, and of course PIVX. And maybe that's something that I'll probably get more into in the next couple of years, rather than surfing myself, is perhaps trying to improve the bodyboarding landscape in Australia would be a big one for me, because the surfers already have it pretty good. So bodyboarding would be a big focus of mine. Watch the downvotes come after me saying that. Any other litters out there? All the stick riders are going to hate me for that one. Centra has been taken to court by the US government, I heard, said Seb Fox. Z said that the ICO was actually a scam. They had no affiliation with Visa or MasterCard, according to the SEC. Noddy said, fraud? Isn't that all coins? Oh, Noddy, you're like, man, you're a frother on crypto. What are you talking about? You can't possibly call it a fraud. I know it's got value to you. How'd that drink session go the other night as well? Looked like getting into the rumbos. It's dangerous. I already have my place in Costa Rica. I just need food and gas money. I don't need a lot. I just need it to last 50 years, hopefully. Kelly, I've got the same plan for Sri Lanka. I've been eyeing off Oh, there's a resort in Sri Lanka. Like it's like 5, 6 room little hotel on the beach in Hikkaduwa for 500, like 500,000 Australian dollars, so about 420,000 US. And it is so bloody tempting to sell up over here and just move there and run a little resort for the rest of my life. Do surfing tours every day. Very tempting. My only concern is I don't really want to sell here because I have got a great location. For a lifetime surfer, I might want to come back here one day, and might be hard to get a place, especially with a big backyard. Everything's getting bought up around here and developed. So I don't really want to let go of this place, and I can't afford to do it without selling it. So yeah, if I could make $500,000 in crypto, then I'd probably cash out in its entirety, keep a little PIVX in the savings account, and buy that resort in Sri Lanka. Just chill out. I'd be happy doing that, taking people surfing every day. Plus, Sri Lanka's so undiscovered compared to like Indonesia in terms of surfing. So many good little reef breaks down south, and even on the east and west coast, there's little reef breaks everywhere that no one surfs. And you ask any of the drivers, "Oh, where's the best place to surf?" And they'll take you to Veligama. And Veligama's nice, it's beautiful, and if you've never surfed before, it's probably a good place to learn to surf. But as an experienced surfer, you get there and you just go, oh. And the thing is you've passed all these mad reef breaks the whole way to get there. And it's like, oh, this place is going to be sick. And then you get there and it's like this bay with this little beach break. And it's just like, why did you tell me to come here? And there's all these surf schools set up with Sri Lankans who maybe don't know how to surf so well, teaching European tourists how to surf. It's relatively entertaining. But Costa Rica sounds sweet. I'd love to get to Costa Rica. I met a few people from Costa Rica when I was over in Chile competing. Yeah, that's the way to go, Kelly. Kelly said, I don't carry any credit card debt. I wish I would have learned about how to use credit wisely when I was in my 20s. Look, realistically, the correct way to use it is virtually not at all. Having said that, my grandfather was one of the most successful people I've known, and he was virtually always leveraged to the eyeballs. He was. He'd put everything on the line, but when he knew it was right, he wouldn't just, because he wanted shoes, put them on a credit card. That's not a way to build wealth. And if you're getting on the wrong side of compounding interest, it's so hard to get your head back above water. So first things first, as we said, nothing on credit, guys. It's got to be savings money that you're putting into this, and spending almost not even savings money that you can definitely afford to lose, but certainly money you don't need for anything, bills or anything like that, or food or anything like that, and certainly not on credit card, because straight away you're having to make 20% a year just to get even, plus your transaction fee. So you're going to have to make 30% in a year just to break even if you're investing on credit. There's not a lot of investors out there who can do that, who can turn 30% and not even worry about it because they're going to make 50%. So, be smart, slow. I've said this on the show before. If you try and get rich overnight, you're going to lose all your money. If you aim for 3 to 5 years, you might just get rich overnight. It is doable. Pablo reckons we need some convictions and jail time for the scammers. I'm just trying to think. Pablo, you've got me scratching my head on that one. Convictions and jail time for scammers. Yeah. See, I'm a big believer in, doing your due diligence, and BitConnect, things like BitConnect, are we going to really charge the people who started that? Because it was clearly a scam. 90% of people in the economy knew it was a scam. I don't know. I get your point, though. It was heavily shilled. If this crypto Nick kid's 17, can you really hold him responsible? I don't even know if legally you can. Have to find out. Depends on the jurisdiction, I guess. It's interesting, though, Pablo. Yeah, the scams aren't helping a space as a whole. Kelly hit the nail on the head. I'm not sure whether convictions and jail time is the answer, although, white-collar crime going unpunished does piss me off. a lot, because it does a hell of a lot more hurt in society than some blue-collar crimes that are treated very, very heavily by the penal system. So white-collar crime, just because the person had money to start with, or because they're not, directly beating someone in the head with a hammer or something like that, that might be a bit extreme, but it's kind of overlooked. But its net effect on society is equally detrimental, if not more so. And I think that, white-collar crime going unpunished is something that is potentially an issue. And therefore, I guess Pablo, I had to think about it. And I guess I'm leaning towards agreeing with you. Perhaps some convictions and jail time for the scammers would be a good idea. You've won me over. And Kelly, getting onto your point about scammers aren't helping the space as a whole, you're right, because the big connect thing, everyone sort of went back and went, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. And everyone's Nostradamus. Everyone can predict the future. Yeah, we all knew this was going to collapse. We're all smart. We're not dumb enough to get involved in something like that, right? But the problem is the wider public, all they hear is a $2 billion market cap going to 20 million or 2 million or whatever it's at today. All they hear is $2 billion gone. Pyramid scheme, crypto. And they don't separate. They don't compartmentalize and say, well, that was a scheme within the crypto economy. They unfortunately will paint the entire crypto economy with that same brush. And therefore, everything in crypto must be a scheme or a pyramid, a scam or a pyramid scheme. So I 100% agree with you. I think scams out of the economy is a good thing. Pablo, most people are irresponsible with credit at first, but I can't say that anyone's more irresponsible with credits than the people who are actually giving the credit in the first place. It's about to happen again. Like, the writing is pretty much on the wall. What was the financial crisis caused by, guys? What was the major cause of the financial crisis? Yeah, there was, I'm not just talking regional pressures and things like that. I'm talking about overall. If you could put the whole financial crisis down to one thing, what would it be? I'm coming down to live to see if anyone answered this. Cronborn said it's almost over. Fish, I want to join if you're not leaving soon. Yeah, well, we're just hanging out here, man. We're just talking. But if anyone can answer the question I had before, it would be I'd be interested to see. Yeah, that's it. Lending to poor people. People who can't afford the credit are getting the majority of the loans. That's the problem. Banks, Fisho, lending any clowns who wanted dollars. Yeah, exactly. So that was what caused the last financial crisis. Exactly. It was, what were they called? There was a name for it. Something loans. I can't remember, but it basically was high-risk loans, and they were just getting approved all over the place. Created a housing bubble. There's a lot that came into it, and that's a really good answer as well, Cronpoint, systemic risk. But I think majority, it was a debt problem, right? And if we look at that compared to today, US's debt bigger or lower? Not just, indexed and everything, and per capita, take everything into account. US's debt has increased. So if the last financial crisis was caused by debt problems, I only laugh because it stops me from crying. It's going to be a disaster, I think. I think we are potentially on the verge of some very bad times within the next 12 to 18 months. I could be reading the markets wrong, but it seems to be that the debt's increasing. Markets are getting, housing markets are increasing again. People are, again, not being able to afford to pay off debts. It seems like, the last one was just a little bit of a warning of what's to come. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Poor risk management, investment bankers getting greedy. I think that's a good point, Seb. Floyd said it was George fucking Soros. Put the whole financial collapse down to one person. I think, look, I absolutely agree, but I think it was just what was it? It was a culture within the industry, within the banking industry, to just loan money. So That was good. Seb Fox, collateralized debt obligations. Yeah, there's a lot going into it. AAA bonds were actually triple C, says Noddy. And Kelly's just referring to the current climate, saying the debt is growing bigly. Trump is MAGA, bahaha. Yeah, Trump just signed another $1.5 trillion into the economy. And when he signs that into the economy, do you know how much that's going to create? Roughly 10 times that amount, 9 times that amount through fractional reserve banking. That's how it works. So $1.5 trillion that Trump signs into the circulating supply will more likely end up somewhere around the 14 trillion mark into the US economy through fractional reserve banking. For those of you who don't know how that works, go and look it up. It's basically money's created out of debt. See, that's the good thing about our crypto economy. For whatever else happens, our money's not created out of debt. And that's just, it's a toxic system. It's a system that is, it's destined for failure the minute it's implemented. Well, maybe not failure, but it certainly enslaves people. I mean, that's what it is. It's debt is created on a promise of future work. So when every dollar in existence has debt tied to it, that you understand how humanity is essentially being enslaved through money. Now, the good thing we can say about the crypto economy is none of this is created through debt. None of our coins have been created through debt. They've been created through algorithms. They've been created through mathematics. There's, defined parameters about the circulating supplies, whether they're capped, whether they increase by a set rate or based on a formula. The parameters of the currency are known, and it's not created out of debt. So that's why I much prefer crypto. Anyway, that's that. Geez, we went on a roundabout little chat there, didn't we? Anyway, CDO derivatives package up subprime bad debt sold as hugely inflated prices. Yeah, well, absolutely. And the debt was sold around in circles, set. Sold and sold and sold and sold. It was insanity. It was House of Cards waiting to come down. And I think we're actually getting towards that point again, unfortunately. I'm that tempted to sell my house, not because I don't love living here. It's just because I'm not an idiot. And the Australian housing market, when the place down the road sold for $680,000 and it's a 2-bedroom place on a block the same as mine. Mine's 6-bedroom, and I paid a lot less than that 5 years. I paid almost half of that 5 years ago. So to see that sort of growth in 5 years, I'm like, yeah, things are getting pretty heated up, and money's been cheap for a long time because our Australian interest rates have been at record lows. So people think they can, and the problem is our banks over here did exactly the same thing. I can tell you that for a fact because my bank, when I went in to get the loan for this place, I got a loan before I started. Like, I wanted to know how much I could get loaned before I even started looking at houses. In between. So I started looking, found out how much, looked for another 6 months, found this place. But they had okayed me for a substantial amount of money. And I was just like, I can't afford that. Are you kidding me? I can't afford those payments based on what I'm earning, based on everything. And they were prepared to give me a lot of money. So I think the same thing perhaps is about happening here in Australia, where our housing prices are at record highs. $1 million median house prices in Sydney. Like I said, places around here, like mine, hitting around $700,000. It's insane. Because we're not, major city. We're not a major city like Sydney or anything. But the whole Australian housing market seems to be a little bit overheated. And with a lot of cheap money being lent out in the last 10 years, 5 to 10 years. I think when interest rates do have a time where they're going to have to increase again, a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford their loans. Now, if that coincides with a correction in the housing market, which it inevitably will because the buy pressure won't be as strong when the interest rates go up, a lot of people are going to have loaned more than the value of their house, at which point the banks get very, very nervous. And if you're not making your repayments, they'll whip it out from underneath you quicker than you can say, can I please get an extension on my mortgage? So I think that we could potentially be in a stage of that happening in Australia. I hope not. Seb Fox says it was Tether that caused the 2008 crisis. Brilliant. Love it. These tariffs with China are going to F us big time, said Kelly Slade. Just catching up, guys. I know I'm going up the chat instead of down it, but seeing what everyone has to say. A house down the road from me sold for 14.5 million. I only want 10% of that. Now I think that shows I'm not greedy. Notty-o, some of that was probably the house next door to my grandparents' house, because my grandparents' next door neighbours sold for 14.5 million. We're talking about one of the richest. We're talking about one of the two richest property areas on the Gold Coast. You've got Hedges Avenue and Monaco Street. They're two ridiculous property places. And my grandparents have been in Monaco Street since before I was born. So yeah, I think you can go and look up on real estate. I can't remember what it is, but you can look up the last price paid for a certain property. And I think my grandparents paid 120,000 Noddy for their house, which is on the river at Monaco Street there. Well, you know where it is roughly. We talked the other day. But yeah, their next door neighbour was the one that sold for 14.5 million. So, and they bought the house for 120,000 or something like that. It's insane. Davey Jones, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Adam Tazin, they offered me over $1 million on 5% deposit with single income. Yeah, man, I got offered similar. Adam, I got offered similar amounts, man. It wasn't quite $1 million, but it was an amount that I was like, I can't afford that. I can't afford it. And they were throwing money at me. And that was 6 years ago, roughly. So 6 years ago, there was a lot of money being thrown out, very cheaply as well. My mortgage has only gone down since then as interest rates have gone down. The lending criteria wasn't exactly strict. And now prices have gone berserk. I just think it's a bit of a recipe for disaster. We'll see what happens. I hope I'm wrong. I'm a bloody homeowner. I'd like to see this thing just keep going up. I don't want to see a correction in the market. They don't think you need to eat or enjoy your life. Just pay the mortgage. That's it, Kelly. Honestly, when I went through those hard times when my house got flooded, like that's the thing. I try to explain this to Sri Lankan people. Just because your family has a lot of wealth doesn't necessarily mean you're wealthy. A lot of families like to let people make their own way, and that's certainly the way my family is. So I did it pretty tough when my house got flooded. And I rang my bank and said, listen, I've got no income coming in. My house has been flooded. I can't rent any other rooms. I've got to get this place fixed. The insurance company, which by the way is you guys, are dragging their feet. Took 6 months or something to get my house fixed. And I said, I just need to hold off and pay my mortgage for a couple of months. Haven't missed a payment, 6 years, on time, every time, even paid a little bit more. Not a heap, but I'd paid a little bit more. They said, oh, well, you've got, this much that you've paid more. And I said, oh, well, sweet. Yeah. So and they said, well, you can use that. And I said, yeah, well, can we just hold it off for a couple of months until I get people back in? They're like, no, you have to do this, and the other. And I was like, far out. Fortunately, some good friends helped me out, like people who know them. One of my mates said to me, he said, Fish, you're an owner. He said, just take the bloody money. He said, I've got it at the moment. It's all good. I said, sweet, man. So he helped me out a lot. I paid him back now thanks to getting everything back on track and obviously making some money in the crypto market as well. But it was really, really tough times for me. And the bank, who had made money, based on the size of my mortgage and the interest rate, had made $20,000 a year off of me for the last 5 years, couldn't give me a couple of month break on my mortgage because I didn't have my rental income coming in. Pretty harsh, almost like they wanted me to default. 3 years ago it was for you, Adam, when they offered you $1 million. Yeah, mine was about 5 years ago. I think it's tightened up a bit now, man, but the effects from that easy money is going to be seen over the next 5 to 10 and perhaps sooner, because I really think that the market's overheated. and the whole global economy is a little bit shaky at the moment. I hear Italy's not looking so good. Which, we saw what happened with Greece going into a complete debt crisis as well. 255 Monarch. Okay, no, it wasn't. That wasn't the one next door. I won't give away the address of my grandmother's place on here, but it wasn't 255. Dino Focus was from WGT and a mate of mine. Oh, the big block is on for 16 mil. Yeah, the prices are insane. Same as Hedges Avenue. Massive, massive housing bubble at the moment, I reckon. Although we're still, the thing with the Gold Coast is we're still behind Sydney, Noddy. So I think if there is a dip, we won't be as heavily affected as things that have gotten, like summer Sydney has just gotten insane. Kelly said, when the hurricanes hit here in FLA, being Florida, I think, yes, they let people defer payments for a few months. They didn't really have a choice, though, too many people. Volume was up a tad, over 11 now. It's a good point to leave it, I think, Kelly. Let's have a quick look at the markets, see how they're pushing. But Kelly's just said that, Mark. Oh, we'll leave it at that. It's 11 billion volume. That concerns me, guys. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it up a little from that to really show signs of that recovery being imminent. So my personal thoughts are we'll make a run down to 6. Having said that, I bought at 6.8. Please make your own decisions, as always, when you're investing in the crypto economy. Always only what you can afford to lose. Adam Tazin is going to get the last say of the day because he's got the last comment written in here. It's tightened up a bit, and they have pushed up interest rates on interest only, which will put pressure on people with too many properties and large debt ratios. Not a crypto close off, but excellent financial point of view from Adam. Good night, Kelly, and good night to all of you, and thanks for dropping in for the conversation. As I said, I'm pretty busy at the moment, but I will try and get in as often as I can for a good old chat. It's been good chatting to you all today, and we'll see you tomorrow. See you later. Bye.